Hi, this is the Blackberry Prepper, and we've been talking a lot in the last few weeks about stoves and different things like that and winter camping. So we just got back from one of our camping trips with the older scouts into the snow, and I wanted to kind of show you my cooking setup. Now I have two identical cooking setups that basically cover everything that I do, and I try to do everything exactly the same and doubles of everything. At least, or triples if it comes down to having, we do about one stove for every 4 people in a snow trip. Your stove is not like a winter stove, or not like a summer stove. It needs to be able to do everything that you're going to be able to do up there, and the biggest part of that is water. Water procurement is very hard in the snow because most things are frozen, so either you're drilling holes or punching through ice axes, with an ice axe through the top layer, or you're where a lot of the places we go to where there just is no creeks or no rivers or no ponds or no nothing. We're literally camping out in the middle of nowhere. So we have to melt all of our snow. And that's usually what we end up doing almost all the places I go to, is that we go there specifically in the wintertime because that is the way we get our water versus going in the summertime where there is no water in those areas. So kind of the first thing, I wanted to kind of weigh my kit. And like I said, I have two identical kits, and I'll kind of tell you why I picked the kits I do. We're going to start out with the whole kit itself. It's with the stove and everything's in here. All the pot, the stove, and everything you're going to need is already in there. And that's 1,177 grams, or let's see here, 2.5 pounds, roughly. So that's 2.5 pounds, and I'll show you what all gets in my kit. Now there's a couple other things we have to include in there. I always take a good spork or spoon. I like these Sea to Summit versions, which are real nice and long. They're nice long spoons. And then I like these guys for eating every day. I like these a lot in the wintertime because the reason that they have the ability to reach all the way down inside your bags. These are anodized aluminum. These are titanium, so they don't have to be anodized or anything, which I kind of like eating with titanium because you don't have to worry about the leaching of the spoon, the spoon into your kit. So saying that, we've got to add on a little bit more. So with a fuel bottle and pump, you're another 1.8 ounces. So that is a lot, you would say. I say it's the right weight for what we need to do. Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and open this guy up. This is one of the Primus Edipots. Their Edipot system I really like because you can grab onto it with your hands to the lid to open it up to start scooping out of. So something I highly recommend, to grab one of these guys. They also do have the heat exchanger on the bottom. Now this heat exchanger ring on the bottom kind of allows it so it's able to gain energy. They say about 30% better. If you watch our next video, we're going to test it, so to see how much whether I should really be liking these or not. I do keep both my kits in these little bags, these little mesh bags. That way I have everything already set up and I can just hand it to a scout and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's a fuel bottle with a pump, and I know that we're at least getting on the trail with at least something that all works. So this is the 3-liter pot system that they have. I have a couple different versions of this pot that they have. I like this one because it comes with the handles already on there, with the silicone handles on there, so we're not constantly having to pop a handle on and off. And like I said, real nice system with, you got grippers on there, so you can pick it up with bare hands. And then you've got the strainers. So definitely a big fan. These really do work. I say they probably don't make up for their, we're going to talk a little bit about fuel consumption and everything in our next video, and whether they actually do what they're supposed to do. They do go faster, and in the snow that's kind of nice. So that's kind of the first part, which is the Primus Edith 3-liter pot. My second, and I consider this, the reason I bring this up is I consider this to be the most important thing I take on the trip besides my tent and my sleeping bag. Everything else can go wrong. This is what keeps you alive. So the next thing is going to be a dragonfly, an MSR dragonfly. Now, is there faster stoves out there? Yes. Is there ones that do what these do better? No. And what do they do better than all the rest? One, they have, I think, the best stability system for a pot. The pot fits on there really nice, and it's very stable. And for a 3-liter pot, it fits on there almost perfectly. So there's not any extra, and there's not, you know, too little. So it really works well with these 3-liter pots, and that's what I like when we're melting snow, to have enough snow that we can do it for 4 people. The next thing I really like on the MSR stoves is they have this guy. This is my favorite attachment in the snow, if I can ever get the thing to pop all the way out here. I never do get it right the first time. And this will work with all the MSR white gas stoves, but it's a heat reflector and stand in the snow. So what this guy does is it goes ahead and clips on. You clip it on differently for different stoves. The Whisper Light hooks onto these little clips here, and this guy just clips in here. What I like about this is it gives it a real sturdy platform to sit on. Now, the stove comes with this piece of useless junk that I never end up using, which is this little aluminum foil system, and you'll see this with a lot of the stoves out there, really super light, weighs about 2 ounces. I do multiple trips a year, and I use it constantly. So I don't use that system, I use an actual windscreen. Now the windscreen I use is a 9-panel, simple aluminum windscreen. They weigh about 4 ounces, and as you can see, I can set them up, I can do what I need to do. It keeps my fuel canister from getting too hot. Putting my pot on there, putting my pot on there, and I don't have to worry about constantly bending that apparatus open and closed and having it close up on me. I have actually had one of those when I stopped using them. I actually had one close up on me, and it actually closed into the pot. It set up against the pot, and when I touched it, I actually melted a line through my finger. So definitely something I don't like. The other thing, you know, and they just fold right up 100,000 times you do them. Doesn't matter. You're gonna spend about $6 to $25, no matter which ones you buy. I buy these on eBay for about $3 to $6. Really like them. Love these things. Like I said, about 2 extra ounces there. Now the MSR stove, what I do is I take off the spreader plate, or they call it a roarer plate, you'll hear sometimes, and I put on the quiet stove. I really like the quiet stove. Does the quiet stove slow down the stove? Yes, it does. I don't care. It makes it so I can actually talk when I'm sitting there in camp. So much nicer. And does it slow it down a lot? Nah, you know, a couple percent. I'm not worried about that when I'm out there. When we're burning for, you know, I mean, these stoves are going to run for several hours a day, minimum. They usually run, I mean, by the time I get done with breakfast, I'm getting ready for lunch, and by the time I'm getting ready for lunch, you know, getting done with lunch, I'm getting ready for dinner with boiling water. Okay, now other things I keep in my kit. I keep a instruction manual in my bag here. I keep a pack of waterproof matches. And I keep the repair kit for my stove, which has all my little parts. I keep the roarer plate in there in case I want to run other gases besides the thing. I have the, you know, I keep all the lube and everything I'm going to need in there. And in my other one, I actually have a full rebuild kit I keep in the other pack. So, and, you know, the other thing I really like about these in the snow is when we're dealing with these bottles here, you know, I can adjust any amount of bottle. These bottles are universal, so they come with the 3 different size bottles. I always buy the big one because I can fill it up to whatever size I want. So I have about 8 of these bottles that we use. About 1 per every 3 meals is what it comes out to be that I consider safe. And that's water and food for 4 people. Now the other thing I really like over all the other stoves out there is I just push this guy in, even with gloves on, swing over the lever, and lock it in place. So I don't have to sit there with gloves on and try to screw down a nut. I can do this with gloves on. So a really neat feature there. Is this the lightest setup out there? No, it's not. I'll tell you right now. I have lots of really super light systems. This is not one of those because it is something I depend on. Are my stove, or are my tents, are my sleeping bags, or any of the other equipment I depend my life on going to be light in the snow? No, they're just not going to be. So what I'm going to look at is, okay, what are we going to be able to do with them? And I'm going to sit there and say that, okay, I'd much rather have a stove that's going to work and a stove system that's going to be repeatable, and that the scouts and everybody else is going to be able to use around me without breaking them. You know, that's why I don't carry these little flimsy things. They're, in my opinion, a pain to use. You got to fold them all out, fold them all back up again, and they look horrible after, you know, I've got ones that are just destroyed because they've been folded so many times, which is why I use these guys. Can I get a little extra weight reduction if I don't use the quiet stove? Yes. Would I rather be able to hear what's going on, hear if there's a problem, or just be able to hear and talk while I'm out there to enjoy my trip? This is an enjoyment factor. I consider the quiet stove a add-on personal item that is a luxury type item. Yes. Would I take this if I was going to the top of Mount Whitney? No, because I'm going to be cooking, and I'm more worried about the ability to be able to cook large amounts of food quickly, and it, you know, and weight is an option, is a big factor. When I'm going out with the scouts, I want to be able to hear so I can talk because the stoves are running so long. So that's kind of my kit for what we do in the snow. If you have any questions, please leave comments down at the bottom. Go ahead and please like it if you like our video, and share preferably, and then tell us what you'd like to see next. So as always, have a great day.